Welcome everyone to this tournament where we have the world champion Domaraju Gukesh back in action, taking on Lenier Dominguez, a top grandmaster from USA. We are in Menorca, Spain, where Gukesh is playing this tournament. It's 6-player double round robin rapid tournament with a time control of 30 minutes plus 10 seconds increment. Gukesh is playing here along with two other Indians, Harikrishna and Nihal. The three other players are Dominguez, Ponomariov and Richard Rapport. After Gukesh performed not so well at the Prague Masters, he finished last in that tournament. He took some break and now he's back in action, and it will be very interesting to see how Gukesh performs here. I am very curious to see this, and he will start off his campaign in the first round against Dominguez with the black pieces. The players are ready, and handshake there, and off we go. The clock begins, and e4 by Lenier Dominguez, e5 by Gukesh. Starts off very solidly, knight to f3, knight c6, and we have the Ruy Lopez here with bishop to b5. Pawn to a6 played, bishop comes back to a4, knight to f6, and now white castles. Black pushes his pawn to b5, bishop b3, and now pawn to d6 played. In general, if you play a move like knight g5 here, there is d5, so it doesn't work. Rook e1 played, and Gukesh quickly brings out his bishop. Dominguez plays his pawn to c3, and now the knight jumps to a5. This reminds us of Gukesh's opening against Jordan Van Forest, where he plays like the Ruy Lopez in the main line but without castling. And that makes all the difference. Like if you had h3 and castles, you would be in a territory where there are thousands of games. But here, because he hasn't castled, this is something not as common. And this Jordan had played it against Gukesh and had won a very nice game. Bishop g4, now pinning the knight here. And Gukesh even gets up. He is at 31 minutes 36 seconds. Pawn takes pawn taken, and Gukesh takes on f3, queen takes f3, and pawn takes back on e5. So you've given up your bishop pair, but in return you have a very nice center, and the knight can reroute itself to d4. Dominguez doesn't seem to be well versed with that game against Jordan. Castles. And here Jordan had played the move bishop g5, when Gukesh had actually later on blundered with something like queen b8. But Dominguez changes with rook d1. He hits the queen. Now the queen can go to c7 or c8, goes to c8, can come to g4 if needed. Bishop comes out to b3. Well, slightly weird move because you can simply take it. I mean, could have been bishop d3 was a nicer move. Bishop b1, b4 was threatened. So now after takes, I do feel that Gukesh has a very decent position. He plays his pawn to b4. And that's the thing about these top guys. If you aren't well prepared against them, they are able to hold themselves very easily with the black pieces. So Dominguez here perhaps hasn't come with his prep in this line. Rook takes d5, putting pressure on the e5 pawn. Gukesh goes queen c2. If you take here, then maybe bishop f6 is a nice move. So rook d2 comes back, and now queen to c6. I would even start to think that Gukesh can play for something more than equality here. Rook d5. Can he go queen c2? No, he goes rook d8. He wants to fight on. He's giving up the e5 pawn for Dominguez to take, and he wants to continue playing this position. But queen d3 by Dominguez, and f5 played. bishop develops, and Gukesh takes here, because if you take on e4 you're losing the rook. So rook takes d8, and now if rook takes d8, I'm just wondering if, no, there's no queen a6 because of takes and back rank mate. So takes queen c4, queen takes c4, b takes c4, and now the a6 pawn is a bit weak. Gukesh is a pawn up, but somehow his pieces aren't well coordinated. Rook c8 played, pawn comes up to b3, and rook d8. He's entering in this way. And Gukesh gets up. Both players have 8 minutes on the clock. Pawn to g3, taking away back rank issues, and now we can just get our king into the game. But he goes rook d3, which is also very logical, hitting the pawn. Rook takes on a6, rook takes b3, and Dominguez needs to be slightly careful because Gukesh's b pawn is dangerous. He goes rook a7, and of course if king f7, then bishop c5 wins the day. So can't bring the king just yet. King f8, nice move there. And rook b7, and now rook to c3 is one of the possibilities here. Yes, that's what he plays. He attacks the pawn on c4, and c5 played by Dominguez. He knows that this is actually easy to hold. Now takes, 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 and this is fine. So rook c4 played, and now king to f1. He's bringing in his king. H6, king e2. Gukesh down to 1 minute 46 seconds. He's also taking his time here. 4 minutes for Dominguez. King e8. Of course, Gukesh needs to be slightly careful here. He's definitely trying for more than a draw, but I doubt if that exists. H4, maybe trying to clamp down the structure with h5, and I think Gukesh feels like that's enough now. Bishop takes c5, but have to be a little careful because rook takes g7. Is that a problem? Takes on c5, takes on c5, but now if you take rook g7, maybe rook b5 is a bit of a worry. So he takes on b4. I think logically taking here makes sense. Yes, he takes it, and now e4 is hanging, so king f7, and the players agree to a draw. So a very, very solid start here for Gukesh, and he was not at all in trouble throughout the game against Dominguez, and this was a successful opening prep. Of course, this tournament is going to be quite intense for him. Harikrishna, Nihal Serene, Rapport, Ponomariov, all tough opponents, and we'll see if Gukesh manages to do well. The schedule is every day there are 2 rapid games, and so today being day 1, there was only 1 game that was played, and Gukesh starts off with a draw. We'll be covering this event even though it clashes with the candidates. We'll be bringing you these games, and for now we'll just see the players exiting the playing venue. You can also get a feel of how the venue looks like from this video.
look is very nice. It's really nice.